Hey everybody, I'm Josh Flom. I'm the Program Manager for Coordinated Family Support Services, and I'm excited to connect with you today.
Hi, I'm Daniel Oberg. I'm CFS Specialist with Compass, and I'm also excited to be with you today.
And he's served in like 800 counties. Even though we don't have that many counties in California, we'll make space for more counties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 so far. So as the Program Manager of CFS, can you tell us a bit more about what the program is and where kind of started? And
Yeah, I'd love to talk about CFS and some of the key pieces for it. It focuses on a few things. One, it takes conventional services that we're used to working with. So some examples of that would be supported living services and independent living services, and helps bring it into the family home. So it also allows us to work alongside families specifically, so that it's not just about the individual, but it's actually about the care in the family home, and empowering them and equipping them and giving them resources and tools to thrive in their own home. And the last piece that's really important with coordinated family support is that it's about culture and language, and helping meet the individual where they're at, as opposed to focusing on making them fit into a system or a service that's in the community. Our service model has always been about person-centered focuses, and this really allows us to tailor a service to the individual. I don't know if you've ever experienced working with somebody before where the person they're with, they feel safe because they're close. Mm-hmm. Imagine that safety blanket gone and trying to assess their needs and redirect the behaviors, when really it's just a sense of belonging and familiarity that they're looking for.
Right.
So CFS really comes into the home to bring those traditional services, educate the family, educate the individual, and meet those needs. Dan, you've been with Compass for almost a year now, and have gotten to work in several of our counties that we serve. How did you come to CFS? Tell us a little bit of your story.
Yeah, so essentially I graduated from Simpson University back in 2020. And from there, I just started looking for jobs to kind of help pay the rent, do the stuff like that. You know, got to keep eating, right? Mm-hmm. So I did a whole bunch of grunt labor jobs. I did construction. I tried sales a couple times, and just never have been super happy with wherever I had worked at. And so I was talking with a friend who had worked with Compass. And she was like, "Hey, you should give Compass a try. See if we can give that a shot." So I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll apply, see what happens." And I applied, and you guys graciously took me on in this new program. And even though I've had zero experience when it comes to caregiving or providing assistance come alongside any of that, I've been trained super well, and it's been a great experience for me. Yeah.
I love how you acknowledge that, maybe you didn't have the specific skill set that you thought might apply to this, but you brought the energy and the enthusiasm and the hunger to grow. Could you explain a little bit some of just the daily, and I get it, you're in life doing stuff with our folks, so every day could look different, but what are some of the key takeaways that you consistently bring to your role as a specialist?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, obviously one of the big things that we're highlighting is that each client is different and all their needs are different. So a lot of that, especially very first time meeting them, is making the assessment and figuring out where I can kind of enter the space to be able to essentially provide aid, come alongside them, and just see where I can step in. And after those first couple days where it's the learning process, figuring out where they need me, what I can be helping them with them, how they can essentially grow with us being in their space. And so they can just vary just depending. So the 6 clients that I've worked with so far, I've gone from doing like more intensive personal care where I'm in there helping with the everyday needs, making the meals, helping with the cleanup, just everything when it comes to all the personal stuff. And it can range from that all the way to helping them kind of be driven to places, helping them fill out applications, helping them with their interviews if they have any with programs within California. And it can just vary anywhere along that whole spectrum. But the big part is making sure that whatever it is that we're coming alongside to help with them, that it's tailored specifically for what their need is.
You made a key point about some of the differences with the job and how one person can look very hands-on, as well as some of it can be prompting and directing. And that actually brings up a good point, because within CFS, there's two sub-components of the job. One is the specialist, which focuses more on the education and the demonstration and partnership and systems. And then the second component is the CFS Direct, which can model similar to supported living services and tends to have a time frame. Usually it operates under one of our objectives, specifically the futuristic planning, because maybe staying at home with mom isn't the long-term plan, or staying at home with dad or the family unit. So could you take just a moment and highlight some of the differences from your very first client and clarify some of the direct pieces there versus some of your other clients that might have been more systems or community integration instead?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first client that I worked with was essentially just very much a straight 48-hour period where I would arrive there and would essentially try to take over for the home as much as I can. So a lot of it was just interacting with my client, making him his meals, helping him get up during the day. I would spend the night, help with the night routine if he needed to get up at all. Just help them with that whole process. And it essentially provided respite for the parents in that scenario, where they were able to go and do the things that they needed to get done over the weekend, or like even time to hang out with friends, or just providing that break and space to be able to help with that. And so that was the first client I worked with, where it was the very hands-on situation. And now that can still exist in the other clients that I'm working with, where it's usually for some shorter times, but it's still kind of the idea of I can be there for that 4-hour period or that 2-hour period, provide the space for them to go spend time with family, get errands done, but also even help provide opportunities for services that they may not have thought to look into. I can think of one most recent example where I was helpful in that scenario, where I was working with a family. They didn't have CalFresh or IHSS or any of the other beneficial services that they could have gotten. So I helped sign them up for those. And right now he's doing much better with CalFresh. That was able to stabilize their finances. And they tell me every day, we're so glad that we've heard about Compass and that you're able to be here and help provide these opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't have. So, yeah.
That's really great. This program has really opened up opportunity to serve, as some of the regional center representatives have expressed to us, almost 80% more people than we've ever thought possible to reach, just because it's always just been the individual in the family home, and they now are having access to something that wasn't available before. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So we have a big program here, and it's kind of just started. What's sort of the vision and heart of where CFS and Compass is going with it, I guess?
That's a great question. Honestly, if you stop and look at some of our mission, our vision, and our core values, our heart is to serve individuals, and adding families to the bigger picture only helps increase the quality and level of support that we can offer. We want to serve more people in California and beyond with the best services possible. Going after dreams, after direction for their life, after their destiny, seeing their own goals come alive, not just meeting the need, but seeing people thrive. So as we go after the coordinated family support services, it's really just trying to be best at serving more people effectively. Another key piece with coordinated family supports is we want to serve businesses, so it's not just business to client model, it's business to business. We want to demonstrate for agencies what's possible. We want to raise the standard of excellence in the state of California. We want to help educate other services. So some of the cool opportunities that we get to do with CFS is some of our management team is connecting with unit supervisors at regional centers. We're educating their units on the service options that are available. We're collaborating with other providers to make sure that what they're doing and we're doing is together. We're not us and that against them. It's together. We're serving our community better. Whether it's modeling what's possible or sharing the resources that we have, our goal here is to help see the individual served and served well and in the family home, and that includes other businesses as well. So sharing our expertise.
Mm-hmm.
being best.
Yeah.
You know, in the middle of doing all the work, are there any cool stories, just tug on your heart, or success stories, something that you got to be a part of that really fortifies your why for why you do what you do here?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the clients that I'm working with in Shasta County, they're essentially living in the family where their current situation is having to essentially monitor him 24/7, always have an eye on him, make sure that he's not doing anything that he shouldn't be doing. And that's kind of what their family life is like. So there's almost always a situation where they both can't be out on their own. They can't spend time one-on-one with one of their other sons. They always have to have him there. So essentially what I've been able to do by showing up is just providing that space for them to take an opportunity to go back into the community that they don't have access to currently because they're always at home. So whether it's being able to now go and have lunch with her sister, that's something that his mom can do now. Having lunch with her other son, that's something that she can do. And they're able to have that one-on-one time that may not have been possible before. And I'm able to have one-on-one time with my client that we're working with. And it's providing him skills of recognizing, oh, maybe I don't have to be around my parents 24/7. Maybe I can be around some other people now and just be able to enjoy that space as well. And I think it really does provide more opportunities that otherwise wouldn't have been available.
I like how you discuss not just the benefit of his mom being able to connect with his sister after so many years, but you focused on bringing a structured support where he felt safe, not having to be tethered to his parents' side. Like he could go into the community, he could experience something that was interesting or important to him, and focus on, you know, healthy connections with other people, as well as that safety and mindfulness, that awareness of his community around him.
Yeah.
That's really good. Can you add a little bit more to that side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before they always had the same routine of going to the walk, going on a walk, and then going to Burger King after that. And before that was always something that he did with mom, right? And so at first it was a little bit interesting introducing this concept of, oh, now there's going to be this guy that's going to be tagging along for a lot of that. But then eventually he grew comfortable with that. And he was like, oh yeah, we're going to go on the walk and Daniel's going to be there, and we're going to go to Burger King and Daniel's going to be there. But then after that, we pivoted to the new direction of, oh, well, now mom's not there, and it's going to be just me and Daniel going on the walk and doing Burger King. And the first time that was proposed, he was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. So obviously the parents were thrilled. They were like, oh, well, okay, so we're seeing some more independence going on where he doesn't have to be just with the parents the whole time. Now there are people that can step in and help provide that role of taking him on the walk or taking him to Burger King. And that was just something that wasn't there as a possibility before. So that introduction really opened it up to where, yeah, we can probably get some more people that can help sort of rebuild essentially the structure of safety that would allow them to go back into community and just provide a form of respite to a degree.
Good job. Hearing your story makes me think of an example up in Siskiyou County. We got to go work with a family up there, not a lot of resources available, and their son didn't have mobility or access into the community or a way to transport because he became paralyzed from an accident. And we were able to advocate for a wheelchair, electric wheelchair, and a wheelchair van at minimal cost to the families. So now they can actually get out to literally anywhere in the community. So it's been super cool how we've been able to support with that need, and also bring just understanding of what more is out there with services. You know, they didn't even know what IHSS was and home support services, that there's somebody that the county would fund to come and provide supports in the home too, to make sure their son's needs were being met. So thank you for that story. That's a good story.
Yeah, I guess we in CFS, we've been working out of, I say, 4 different regions or so. Can you kind of explain, I guess, some of the differences between what all of those different regions would have in terms of services and where we're able to affect essentially?
Yeah, actually, the need is so diverse. I could spend hours just talking about some of the differences. You have urban areas and you have rural. So, some areas we're coming into have no services, or some folks that we're working with. This is the first time in almost 30 years that somebody's come into the home to provide supports. So there's just a huge disparity between counties and regions for what services are available, what information is available on those unique services. Working with different regional centers, their understanding of what the services can look like. We had one conversation with a service coordinator that was asking if we were a transportation service and if we'd be willing to pick up a client and drive across town and then wait there and then take them home. And, albeit that we could transport them within the tasks that we're helping educate and train and model and demonstrate for them. We're not a transportation service at all. So it's been quite fun just, learning the diversity of need that's out there, learning the understanding that individuals have, learning how service coordinators and case managers refer. Just a little bit deeper into it, there's a self-determination program out there, which is a specialized program that allows families to cater a little bit more intentionally services that their son or daughter or family member receives, and they otherwise wouldn't qualify for coordinated family supports, but because of the new regulations, it allows them that opportunity to receive those supports. So you see service coordinators that are sending referrals out there to everyone on their caseload because they're like, you should see if this applies, you should see if this is something you qualify for. Right. So it's been a journey and a process to help educate regional centers what's available, what the program can do. It's really been fun just involving collaboration and inviting that influence for what more is possible with this program. I had an opportunity to go to San Diego and connect with San Diego Regional Center representatives and a representative from Department of Developmental Services, and they said that they just kind of threw a net out over the state of California to see who grabbed at it. And so there's this huge sense of discovery but lack of clarity. So it's been fun kind of creating something out of nothing, essentially, and pulling a pinch of case management and a handful of SLS, and pulling on the knowledge of the family and the uniqueness of the individual we're serving. So it's been really, really fun being the solution to a problem, or being an alternative so people have choice, because this is all about choice-directed services. So yeah. Just the uniqueness of the fact that, in far north, it's all about relationship, because we've been serving this region for almost 30 years. Then you go to RCEB and working through how the pandemic has impacted them, and the fact that service coordinators and families haven't even seen each other in 5 years. So helping bridge that gap and bringing connection and security and building trust again. To even go into Redwood Coast, where it's who you know, and so you're building connections and being relevant in a situation where the startup, the need is so great. We've qualified for a grant, so we're working really intentional with our startup there. We're doing focus groups. We actually are in the middle of coordinating a Spanish-speaking focus group to better understand culture, so that when we show up, we don't hurt or offend or push anybody or shut anybody out. So it's been really fun learning and growing ourselves, and also helping bring that hope and possibility for people to see what more is possible in their home and with their family, and knowing that what's most important to them, their culture, is preserved while we provide supports and services. So it's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Daniel, you've gotten to share a couple of cool stories and tell us a little bit about what you get to do in the homes. Could you spend a minute just talking about the 3 counties that you've worked in? What have you loved? What have you experienced? What's some of the differences? You worked in Trinity County, you're in Shasta County, you've been down to Butte County. So, talk to us a little bit about the differences for those 3 counties.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess first off would be probably my first experience was over in Trinity County. Again, the main community that I went into when I went and worked with the family that was living there is a very small, tight-knit community. Everybody knew everybody that was there. And like, even when I first started working with them, they were like, well, you'll know if you're not liked because you'll probably get run off potentially. But I stuck around for a long time, so I think we're doing pretty good on that front. But yeah, it was just great kind of seeing how everybody was connected. And when you showed up, you sort of became a part of the group, and everybody knew who I was, and I knew who most of they were. And they would stop by the house and check in and just to see how everyone was doing. And like the amount of visits that my client got just from family members and just the supportive community, the neighbors, all of them, it was just great to see. And then it works very differently when I'm, say, here in the Reading area in Shasta County, where it's a lot more larger town, larger city, maybe not as much family connection, but you can definitely see the more things that are available around. So usually it's like going to parks, taking them to Turtle Bay to see the museum there and to see the animals there, taking them to movie theater, just anything that would be available that we can go and do. We're going and seeing, okay, you want to go do this? We have lots of options. Let's figure out which one you want to do. We'll go and do that. And so that's kind of been my experience here. And then Butte County, also kind of a smaller town, but you can even see some differences with the family that I'm working there. When it comes to their cultural and religious beliefs, there are certain things they choose not to do and not partake in, and being able to understand that and know when you show up, you do not broach these topics of discussion. You do not go to these certain places. You got to make sure that you're kind of fitting the need that's present there. And so it's all different, and it's all sort of just being able to understand and be able to respect those differences and just be able to kind of fit yourself in there and understand how you can be effective in those situations. So while they're not necessarily super different via county, the locations that there are can allow those differences to be present. But it's more family differences, I would say, that are more prevalent over county differences. But yeah.
Yeah, you spoke to some of the demographic changes and some of the resources or community that's naturally there. You touched on some of the cultural pieces of the family. Could you express just a little bit of the differences in some of the family culture that you've experienced as well?
Yeah, sure. Again, like with the first family that I was with, like their doors were open for the most part at all times, and neighbors would come in and check in. Other family would come in and check in. And then I'm working with another family where it's very much closed doors. They don't want people just stopping by and walking in whenever. They want to know when you're showing up, be able to have you on a schedule when you arrive. And all those differences are great because it meets the need of that family when it comes to that specific one. But then there's also like difference in values, certain things that they are allowed to watch, things that they're not allowed to watch, certain conversations you can have. And just being able to recognize where you are essentially treading into areas that you probably shouldn't be going into is a big part of the job, and making sure that you're not accidentally offending anyone. So just kind of going in with an open mind and being able to take in everything that you can, figure out essentially where you're able to fit to a degree without overstepping, making sure that you're not I'm trying to think of a good word for it.
Intrusive, taking over.
Yeah, just not being intrusive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just being able to recognize that. So,
yeah, you probably bring some of your own education experience, but going into each home, you're probably a student every time, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Have to ask lots of questions.
Yeah. The first 2 days are pretty much always learning days, and just learning what the family does, how they do it, and then learning where I can fit in and be able to provide support, essentially. And it's different for everybody. So within CFS, who are kind of the specialists that we're looking for to potentially come and join us and work with us?
We're looking for people that want to give back to their community, of course. But ultimately, we're looking for individuals that are hoping to start a career. Maybe you've just finished college, or you've had experience with other agencies and you just want to find better ways to give back. So our emphasis really does rest on some of your past experience or education. The job does require one of three things: either a minimum of 5 years experience in the current position, or you can do 2 to 3 years with an associate's degree, or you can have a bachelor's level education. And this comes all the way from the top in the state. The goal here is to really bring quality leaders and influencers into our industry so that the families and the individuals we serve get what's best. So it really is a caliber of leadership that comes into the family home and works with the folks who we serve. So we're looking for a cultural awareness, inclusion, diversity, open-mindedness, willing to learn and grow yourself. I mean, you mentioned in another one of our questions that, the first couple of days you're there, you're just learning. And, people don't really care what you know until you know that you care too. And by taking time to understand who they are, instead of just coming with a program, it really helps set us apart for that. So we're looking for people that want to grow, are teachable, but are willing to get in there and do good work. I really would just love to hear from you. What is it that you enjoy most in this job? What makes you come alive? Why are you still here?
Every other job that I've worked has kind of been a job within the industrial area, or being a delivery driver, or selling a product that I didn't necessarily believe in, and just all these things that I would kind of more define as, I guess, soulless jobs to a degree. I've never worked in a position where it's very much prioritizing the people that we're working with and making sure that their needs are being met and addressed. And the level of fulfillment that comes from work like that, I just never experienced it until I had started working with Compass. And that's really, it has kind of given me a perspective of the work that I can be doing that can essentially be a difference for people that are out there that have that need. And even like every day I wake up and I'm ready to get back to it and ready to keep going and ready to keep working. And it's just something that I really look forward to every day, just knowing that I'll be out there and helping them take the next steps to improve their situation. And yeah, that's a big section of it. The other section too is that really every day is a different thing to a degree, especially when I'm working with multiple clients. Every day I'm waking up and sometimes it's super regimented and we're doing the same day. Like every Tuesday, the first 2 hours of the day is always going to look exactly the same. But then there's other days where I'm working with other clients and I don't know what's going to happen that day. I'll show up and be like, oh, well, this is a thing that we're doing now. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. Let's see how it goes. And then we'll just, like, every once in a while, I'll have to take a drive somewhere. Like, okay, where are we going to drive to? And we're like, well, we're going over to this place. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Let's go there. So kind of having that mentality of knowing that I'm going to be doing something different every day, it definitely keeps things interesting, that's for sure. So
that's good. How have families or the family members and the clients that you work with changed your life in this short period of time here at Compass?
Well, definitely just recognizing, I guess, the amount of work that goes into the caregiving space. Because even these are things that I still think about. The fact that, granted, I'm working a position where it's 40 hours a week, and I'm working with families that are working 24/7, 7 days a week. And the fact that I can be there to help support and to provide that respite, to provide that break, if that's what the need is, it really does put into perspective the amount of love and attention that is needed in a space like that. And just the amount of care that needs to go into that, the amount of patience that needs to go into that. And that has definitely changed my perspective on just the industry as a whole, I guess, just because I had never been in that kind of space before.
Yeah. Does it change your perception of family at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have friends that tell me that, oh, this is teaching you to be a dad. And I'm like, yeah, you have no clue. But definitely just recognizing like what the need is to like towards putting together a good family dynamic also. Yeah, and just seeing how they make it work despite tough situations. definitely lots of things that I'm learning from a position like this.
It's really good. You said training to be a dad. Much like being a dad, the specialist is about learning and growing yourself first so that you can help lead and guide others too. Because let's be honest, no one I've ever met knows the answer to everything. So it's about partnership, and it's about possibility and going after more. So
Yeah.
awesome. Great job. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. We want you
Yes.
for CFS.